come on in. So our van is a very classic bed in the back, kitchen on the side look. There's definitely some decisions we made though that made it personal and right for us. So, all right, the first thing you'll notice when you come in is actually our shoe rack. And it's something that we receive compliments for, I think because a lot of people forget about it. But this is our shoe rack, very simple, and we put in all of our shoes in there. We have tendencies to throw any recycling down here, and the trash, you honestly don't need a bigger trash can than that because it's going to start smelling very quickly. And then just hooks for our hats and our bags. One of the lights that we put is actually down here at the foot. That way, if we're trying to be incognito, but it's pitch dark and we still need to see where we are, at least there's this. But also allows us in the evening to just have one light on. All right, our kitchen. I think our kitchen is probably bigger than the kitchen we have at home. Probably more counter space than
I don't disagree.
So, good old IKEA counter, nothing really particular to say about it. Underneath this side is the plumbing. So we have 2 clean water tanks over here. And then you can see the pumps just in the back, and then the gray ones on the right. This is also in terms of dishes or anything like that. We just put this out onto our countertop. We have our towels, we have everything we need. And it's pretty much like living at home, it really is. These 3 drawers, this is actually a unit that someone gave for us from an old vanity, I believe. But this one was given to us, so at least we have drawers that were like pre-made.
I didn't trust my drawer making skills, in other words.
And that is all of our kitchen stuff is pretty much here. And then on this side, we put all the propane bottles are down here. This was I think a lucky incident, if I remember well, that we weren't sure where to put them, and we realized
fit perfectly.
They fit perfectly. There's 4 tanks, and it's excellent.
Well, there's 2 now, but
we also put our paper rolls, and then the rest of our plates and cutting boards are here. And then the fridge. The fridge was a big question because fridges are expensive, and we were trying to figure out what could we do that could afford. And we went with the Costaway, which we really love. We really do love it. So it is a top one, which means that it keeps its cool much more. It is quite deep, all things considered. Fits all of our beers that we get at the craft breweries and everything else. We actually created this whole system that allows us to open it fully, all the way up. And then if, let's say, we're cooking and there's a lot of things going on, this can still stay down and you can still at least access a good part of it. And then, let's say, for whatever reason, maybe the rat cage is in the way.
We haven't introduced them.
Then we can still sneak it from up here. So this kind of just allows us maximal use of it. If we're honest, we're in bed version 99.9% of the time. And so this is generally what our van looks like. But that being said, we do have quite the storage under the bed. This one's empty just to show you the size and its construction. We normally fill it up with anything from rat food and toys to our own games. We bring things like Uno and Rummy to extra cold layers when we're doing it in winter.
Just for those who are curious, it's not drawers necessarily because that wouldn't take as much weight as wheels. So these are actually just wheels and they're rolling on the ground. And I have a bit of a stopper in the back. So this can roll right in. It rolls over top of a stopper. And so they don't come out when we're driving. But they can take a lot more weight than just your classic drawer hinges.
So the other drawer has, the front part is a hammock, all essential. The shower, which we'll show you later how it works, but the shower lives here. This is the pole for holding the bed up, and then some extra tarps. Holding the table up, sorry. Some extra tarps and cords and other necessary camping supplies. There you go.
Stove. Oh, this is our handy little cover for when we want to create darkness. It's actually made out of the isolation foam, so it's got a reflective on it also, so it keeps the heat in or out, whichever one you want. And this actually fits perfectly. I'll one-hand it. Jack doesn't even have to show you. Our stove. Our camp stove comes right out. I made a handle so that it's easy. I didn't want propane running in the vehicle, so we take it out when we want to cook. Ooh, mirror. Ooh, ah.
Just underneath the mirror is the electrical cabinet, which Fred will go into detail shortly. And then all of our outlets are here with our how'd you call that?
Meter, power meter, battery meter.
This is a homemade drawer made by yours truly, and it has all the makeup actually that talking about the mirror, and as well as what we call our day trip grab and go. Storage, 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 storage. We've done top cabinets and underneath the bed. These three actually have a dividing wall between the three in the back. And so these three is, drum roll please, kitchen stuff. So our food, all of our coffee and our tea, some oils and vinegars, all of our spices and grains. And then this is all of our bathroom things. In terms of clothing supply, very similar concept. This time though it is divided. We have Fred's things and my things. So this is our bed. One of the big decisions that we actually made is to put the bed in a way that we sleep in this direction. I'm 5'5" and Fred is 5'7", but this has really allowed us to then have way more living space and not lose as much space in terms of the width of it. So yeah, so lying down, typically speaking, if there wasn't this mattress,
Which usually is put in the back.
is fine. So it's bedtime. You want to sleep. What do we do? Well, step one. Close that. A bungee cord holds all of this in the front. We have a 2-layer system. If we want to wake up naturally, we can close just the first one to give us a little bit of just light. If we don't, we're ready for a good night's sleep. There's magnets all down here. And then there's the vent cover that's been done. And as you can see, in the middle of the day, it's pretty damn dark. So
When the bed is made, you flip the mattress up top.
when it's not, this naturally, like if this wasn't connected to the mattress, if we were in the sitting position, then there's enough space back here that it can hold there. As you can see, we've got way more space than we need.
This is basically empty. There's a heater we haven't used, obviously. It's summertime.
So what's behind the driver's seat? There's a couple things. There's a bit of space in the back corner, so sometimes an umbrella and things like that go in there. More importantly is our laundry basket. It hangs off of the driver's seat, and we have tansies to put in there. It's quite full because we're nearing a 2-week trip at this point. And then the broom is over here.
Since we're here, I also have my charge relay. Probably started off with actually getting the wires into place. I wanted to make sure the wires were there before we got insulation, covered it all. We got one circuit for 2 LED lights that just have your classic on and off switch. We have a second circuit that's actually on a dimmer. We call it our dining room dimmer. It's also our bedroom dimmer. Same thing. We actually have wires that we ran just in case we wanted to turn this vent into an actual fan. Currently it's just an opening, closed vent. We haven't done it because we've been perfectly fine without it, but the wires are there. I also ran an empty tubing for us to be able to wire up some solar eventually. Right now, our charge relay is doing the job. We don't need solar. We haven't needed it, and it's a quite expensive addition that we don't particularly need right now. I ran a third set of lights under the counter here. There's a lot of shadow casting that happens when it's behind you, so I wanted to make sure to have some lighting here. I also have empty wiring here for our vent that is in the trunk. It's been in the trunk for a year now, and I just cannot bring myself to cut like a 5-inch circular hole in the top of my van. Thankfully, when we bought the van, that vent was already cut out and in place, so good. More electrical wiring. So like I mentioned, the charge relay is underneath the driver's seat. It goes from the main battery, which is under the feet of the driver, goes under the seat, the charge relay. It obviously has to go all the way back to our batteries back here. Unfortunately, I did not think of wiring that before, so that's actually running behind the kitchen unit. It's all the way behind the kitchen unit. It's actually coming through inside this unit, across the top of the, like underneath this step, and into the battery unit. And so I did not think that went through very well, but the rest of the wiring was pretty on point. We ran some wires back here for the fridge. I have a channel underneath here that we have whatever lighting we needed or whatever wiring we needed on this side of the van. Like I said before, we did the insulation. And then finally I've got some wires running in for my 12-volt pump for the plumbing. So I'll try to run through it in a way that makes sense. I actually printed off my voltage percentage or chart because I have no clue, and I'm currently at 12.96. Usually when we wake up in the morning, and we've been using it throughout the evening, we're still at like 12.8. And so we're still at 100%. We've gone underneath your 60-70% maybe once or twice, and that's again just with the charge relay. This is your converter. Basically, when I want to charge the batteries a bit extra, I can go ahead and plug this into any 110 outlet, any wall, anywhere. I have an extension cord in the back, and I will be able to charge my batteries. I haven't used it much. It is good quality though, so I can charge my batteries within a couple hours. They'll be fully charged. And so I didn't cheap out too much on that. Thank God for Amazon sales. This I actually bought used. My inverter. Converter takes shore power, makes it into your 12 volt. Your inverter makes your 12 volt and makes it into your DC or AC power. So DC power, 12 volt, AC power, your wall plug. You've got your two wall plugs that you can go ahead and use. This kind of confirms a decent rating for the power that I have, 12.7. So if we need to use it, we can. I believe we've used it once because we've got mostly 12 volt accessible things. It's about 120 amp hours, two of them. They are the fancy schmancy ones that I can't remember the name, but basically they don't, even if they topple over, it's not dangerous. They don't emit fumes. I don't need to have a drain or anything underneath the van. So this is just in an enclosed space, as long as it's well aerated, which it is, because you can't really see it from here, but there's full cracks on both sides. You can kind of see the daylight come in there, where I just want to get not it to overheat, basically. Got my list for my fuses in case I've got any fuses that blow. I know how to fix it. If you want to get on in here, Jack, I have basically a dead switch. So turning that off kills the power entirely.
Bam.
If there's any issues with the electrical, if there's for any reason a fire, I can just go ahead and switch that right off and switch it right back on.
So the back, not meant to be pretty, meant to be functional. We have tendencies to put wood that we're going to be burning in here, and then the everlasting toolbox and extra wires and things of the sort. And then this side is the fun side. So you can't actually communicate with this part from inside, but we never do, because realistically it's all long things that we're taking out. We have camping chairs, we have our badminton, softball, our picnic blanket, our little paddles for the rafts. This is the fun part.
The white piping there, in theory, is actually a square you can hang in any tree and put a tarp over it. The idea is it's like a privacy for a shower, toilet, or whatever. We have yet to use it. We ain't afraid.
Too private. The initial goal was to have windows in the back. That was the initial goal. We decided not to do finishing like we did with the other sides, because we thought we're going to cut these out, we're going to put in our own windows. And then we got used to it. We got used to not having windows. It adds a level of being incognito. It adds a level of insulation. And honestly, we kind of just realized that whenever we want to see the beautiful spaces that we are in, we just carefully park in a way that allows either the front or the side to be facing.